What if a single swipe of plastic was the first step into a financial labyrinth? In America today, credit cards are more than a convenience, they're essentials. Around 191 million Americans own at least one card. But behind the swipe lurks an industry built on towering interest rates and hidden fees. This convenience masks a darker truth. Credit cards have evolved from being symbols of financial freedom to becoming tools that trap millions in a relentless cycle of debt. How did we get here, where the average US household now owes over $7,000 in credit card debt? And why has the system remained a tangled web, making it so hard to escape? Join us as we uncover the untold story of how credit cards have infiltrated every corner of American life. Credit cards first hit the market in the 1950s, initially as a product of simplicity and trust. Diners Club offered the very first charge card, letting people dine out and pay later, a novel idea at the time. But what started as a privilege soon became an everyday necessity. Within a few decades, companies realized they could cash in on the flexibility these cards provided. By the late 1960s, Bank Americard, the precursor to Visa, introduced the concept of revolving credit,
money for unexpected things,
allowing people to carry balances from month to month. This small shift opened the door to interest charges, marking the beginning of an industry focused on profit through consumer debt. A pivotal turning point came in 1978, when the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in Marquette National Bank of Minneapolis versus First of Omaha Service Corp., allowing banks to charge the interest rate of the state where they're headquartered instead of the borrower's home state. Banks quickly flocked to states like South Dakota and Delaware, where regulations were virtually non-existent. Interest rates surged, and the practice of universal default soon became common. This meant that if you missed a payment on one card, the interest rates on all your cards could increase. It was a tactic designed to maximize profits, trapping consumers in spiraling debt. The numbers are staggering. Today, the U.S. consumer debt exceeds $930 billion, with interest rates averaging around 20%, and some reaching a whopping 36%. This rise in debt isn't just a statistic, it's a painful reality for millions of families. Take, for example, Jim and Juanita Muller from Ohio. After losing their jobs during the 2008 financial crash, they relied on credit cards to buy groceries, cover medical bills, and make ends meet.
While we were waiting for the employment to come along. And so you borrow from the credit card and pay that month, and then the job doesn't happen, so now you got to borrow more, and we just kept digging deeper and deeper.
Their balance grew, and as interest piled up, they found themselves sinking deeper into a financial hole. Stories like the Mullers aren't unique. They mirror the experiences of countless Americans who turn to credit cards in moments of need, only to find themselves ensnared. Marketing plays a huge role in drawing consumers into the credit card cycle. Companies offer enticing perks, 0% introductory rates, cashback offers, points for purchases, all designed to encourage spending. But these benefits often come with strings attached. The 0% offer, for instance, is only temporary. When it expires, interest rates can skyrocket. For consumers who carry a balance, this can mean overwhelming monthly payments that force them to borrow even more just to stay afloat. Research has shown that 53% of credit card holders carry debt month to month, falling further into debt with every swipe. Behind these tactics lies a trove of psychological tricks. Credit card companies have invested millions into studying consumer behavior, leveraging insights into how people think about spending. For instance, a 2016 study by the University of Chicago found that people are more willing to spend with a credit card than with cash because the pain of paying is delayed. This results in higher spending and ultimately higher balances. By understanding and manipulating these behaviors, companies push consumers further into debt, all while maintaining the illusion of convenience and flexibility. What's hidden in the fine print, however, can be the most dangerous. Credit card agreements are often packed with legal jargon and clauses that allow banks to alter terms whenever they choose. One of the most insidious is the penalty APR, which can be triggered by a single missed payment.
A penalty APR, also called the default APR, is the interest rate that's applied to either a portion or the entirety of your balance once your credit card is past due on payment.
Suddenly, the interest rate on that card can jump from 15% to 29%, or even higher. The regulatory landscape only compounds the issue. Interest rates remain unchecked, and banks have free rein to adjust them as they see fit. Efforts to curb these predatory practices have faced strong resistance from powerful industry lobbies. State attorneys general have fought to implement stricter consumer protections, only to be blocked by the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, OCC, which often sides with banks, claiming that federal law overrides state regulations. Although the Credit Card Act of 2009 made strides toward more transparency,
according to the Credit Card Act, the Credit Card Accountability, Responsibility, and Disclosure Act, credit card companies had 14 days to send your statements before your payment is due. Now they're going to have to send your statement 21 days before your payment is due.
Card companies have simply adapted, finding new ways to profit from those least able to bear the cost. Today, they collect billions from consumers who are already struggling. According to the Federal Reserve, Americans paid over $120 billion in interest and fees in 2022 alone. One cannot overlook the impact of credit card debt on mental health. A 2021 survey by Credit Karma found that 37% of respondents reported feeling anxious or depressed about their credit card debt. Financial stress has been linked to a host of mental health issues, from anxiety and depression to sleep disorders and even substance abuse. For many, credit card debt becomes an invisible burden, affecting not just their financial stability, but their overall well-being. For those like the Mullers, the hope is that new policies will one day address these issues. Proposed reforms include capping interest rates and expanding financial literacy programs to help people understand the long-term consequences. Consumer advocates argue that these measures are essential to prevent future generations from falling into the same traps. But without decisive action, the financial distress that many families experience today will likely continue to escalate, pushing more people toward bankruptcy or worse. As credit cards continue to shape American financial life, the urgency for reform grows stronger. With rising debt levels and little regulatory oversight, the burden on consumers will only deepen. For the industry, these practices have translated into massive profits. But for the average American, the cost is profound, financially, emotionally, and psychologically. Subscribe to Truth Revealed to stay intrigued, informed, and one step ahead.